Right. Stop this. There we go. Hello. How's it going? My name is Jay. I play drums in a band called TesseracT. This is the first online drum clinic type thing that I've done. I've done drum clinics in the past. I've done a couple of drum clinics in the past. But this is the first online drum clinic that I've done. Probably has something to do with COVID, if I was a guessing man. I'd just like to say a big thank you to Catherine, who's put all these on and doing a great job in the background. If you'd like to ask me any questions while I'm doing all of the stuff today, I've got the YouTube chat up on my screen here, so you can ask me absolutely anything about anything I'm doing, and I'll try to give you an accurate answer. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to play through some TesseracT songs. So I'm going to play through some songs, and I'm going to try to link it all together with some kind of exercises and some techniques and some of my kind of default memorized approaches to drumming. I'm going to try and give you an insight into all those things. I'm not just going to spend ages on one idea. I'm kind of going to jump around. Now, if there's something that you find particularly interesting, tell me to stop or tell me to try and go into a bit more detail. I will be checking the chat. And equally, if something is terribly boring, just tell me to stop, and I'll go away. Anyway, so that song that I just played was Lament from TesseracT's first album, One. I'm going to play one more song, and then I'm going to go into some kind of the core ideas and principles that I stand by as a drummer, the things that enable me to do what I do. So yeah, let's get going. This song is called Luminary, and it's the first song off of TesseracT's latest record, Sonder. Let me just find it here. Here we go. Right. I'm going to stop saying right after every song. So, I'm going to say so instead. That was Luminary by TesseracT. One of the more challenging songs to learn from I guess, just a comfort standpoint. Being able to play all of the different elements in that song took me a while to get down. And the key thing that I was weak at was, initially at least, was being able to feel a couple of different numbers at the same time. And that's the first area that I'm going to get into. So that is more commonly known as a polyrhythm. If you can hear and count two numbers simultaneously. So basically, a number starts and finishes alongside another number at the same time. Now, if anyone here has had drum lessons with me, you can turn away now because some of this is coming straight out of my drum lesson content. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a quick brief rundown of the three main polyrhythms that I use, and then I'll tell you specifically how they relate to that song. I use the 2-3 polyrhythm, the 3-4 polyrhythm, and the 5-4 polyrhythm. Those are the three main ones that I mess around with in TesseracT World. So the first one, I'm going to play it for you. It's dead easy. This is kind of the most easy one, 2/3. So sounds like that. And you can flip it round. You can put it anywhere you want. That was me just playing it across a few different limbs. So essentially what you got going on there is you've got I count it as a 6. So I count, here I'm going to show you what I do. This little button here, puts it up on the screen. Magic, look at that. So the way to work out any of these polyrhythms, if you can't just automatically hear them, if they don't make sense, is you can take the two numbers of the poly, in this case 2 and a 3, multiply them. It's going to give you the grid. And that grid, let's call them 8 notes for the sake of ease. You can use that grid and those numbers to calculate where everything's going to go. So, literally just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we were to, you multiply the two numbers to get the grid. I kind of missed that stage, which was important. Then, to work out where the numbers are going to be placed on the grid, you use the opposite number. So, if we want to work out where the 3s are going to go, you use the 2. So, 1 plus 2 gets you to 3, plus 2 gets you to 5. So, on that grid of 6, you drop your drumstick. On that grid of 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can just keep that going. And then against that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going to introduce the 2s of the 3-2 polyrhythm. And to do that, we're going to use the 3. So 1 plus 3 gets you to 4, and then that loops around within the 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That makes sense? I think that makes sense. Get rid of my graphic. Don't need that anymore. So the first thing is to get comfortable. That's obviously way too fast, but being able to feel it rather than count it. So for me, the composite that it gives me, if you combine it together, it gives you a like da 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 da. It gives you a rhythm. That's the easiest way of remembering it. Once you've got past the stage of counting, past the stage of practicing it across a couple of different limbs, to the stage of it just being an automatic thing in your brain, then you're ready to use it. Now, in the context of that song that I just played, there's a 2-3 polyrhythm hiding in the intro. And it's hiding throughout the song, really, but being able to feel that enables me to play the 3-2 polyrhythm between the right hand and the left foot. So I'm going to do it on here because it's a bit quieter. So I'm counting twos over there. 2, 1, 2, and over here I've got the threes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's going on all the time underneath that intro section. So let me just play that intro again, and you'll see what I mean. Sorry, it wants to play the next song, which is not what I want. So here's the intro. Follow the left foot and the right hand. That is doing a 2-3 polyrhythm. And then when we get into that next section, it goes to I was going to say a fairly straight hi-hat beat, but it's not straight because there's loads of stuff going on. But what I mean by that, we've already introduced the count that the right hand goes to on the hats there, because it's literally what the left foot was doing before. So in doing something like that, in being able to count the 2 and the 3 at the same time, you are kind of you're able to switch to that time or switch back to the 2s. You can switch to the 2s or switch to the 3s. And it doesn't sound jarring if you're already playing both at the same time, in my opinion. I don't think it sounds jarring anyway. And if you want to be able to get to that stage where you can use both at the same time, just a little exercise that you can do is literally set up a metronome. You may already be able to do this, in which case you can shut off, but if you can't, set up a metronome and literally just play along. Let me just get to my metronome thing. So this is, what speed is this? I think it's 90. It's 90, but it's 3/4. It's 4/4. Okay, I'll leave that for a second. Actually, no, I can just do this. Check this out. Skills. Okay, so. Just practice getting it comfortable between different hands and different limbs. You can do it between, split it between your limbs as well. So that's doing the 3s on the feet, but the feet were alternating. So there's all these things you can do. And my advice to anyone that's trying to do anything new on the kit or any instrument is to practice the things that offer you resistance. I say this in my drum lessons all the time. Practice all the things that offer you resistance, because those are the things that are going to unlock all the cool stuff that you want to be able to do. So literally just a simple exercise like that. Slow it down. I have that, that's at 90 BPM, but it's playing 8th notes rather than quarter notes. So imagine that at half the speed. That would be my recommendation for trying to get to grips with these things. Now, let me give you a couple of examples of the other polyrhythms that I use. So the next one would be 3/4 polyrhythm. So that one, we're going to count like this. Let's break that down a little bit. It might be that you just got the feel of that, which is cool. It might be that you didn't. So, in case you didn't, this is how you count it. We're going to do the same thing we did with the 2/3 polyrhythm, but we're going to do it to the 3/4. Multiply that 3 and the 4 together. First off, gives you a grid of notes. It gives you 12, unless you're better at math than me and somehow it doesn't give you 12. Sure it does though. It gives you 12. And we're going to use the 3s to calculate where the 4s are. So we're going to add 3 each time, which is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So hitting the 1, 4, 7, and 10 is going to give us the 4 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then, same as before, to work out the 3s, we're going to use the 4s. So we're going to add 4 from 1 to get us to 5, and then 4 again to get us to 9, which is going to be the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you put those two things together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then obviously practice it on the feet. Any of those exercises. So practicing something like that, again to a metronome, any combination that's going to cause resistance. You can do alternating feet, you can do alternating hands. So literally anything. Not literally anything, but those are examples of 3/4 polyrhythms. Now I'm going to play a song that uses the 3/4 poly for me. This one's really difficult. I'm not going to lie. This one still it causes me a lot of grief, but it's one of my favourite songs to play by TesseracT. It's off the second record, and it's called Exile. Now, when I hit play on this, I'm going to have to quickly turn round because it's going to burst straight into the song. So I'm going to probably have to catch up. So give me a second. Right, here we go. Okay. When I finish the song, I'm going to go back to a section of it and show you where that 3/4 poly is. But right now I'm going to have a little drink of water. Because I'm parched. And once again, guys, if you got any questions about any of the stuff, drop it in the chat. I can see the chat window. Drop it in that chat. And I'll do my best to answer it after the song. I would try and do it while playing the song, but it would probably sound terrible. Both my voice and the playing. I was going to go for a cymbal grab, but I turned that functionality off when I smashed through this cymbal the other week. Right, so has anyone got any questions about that? About anything I've done so far, actually, not just that. Has anyone got any questions? I'm going to briefly explain where the 3/4 polyrhythm is in that. You guys have probably already spotted it, but in case you haven't. 3/4 poly is like towards the intro. I mean, it's in the song quite a few times, but towards the intro, you've got this kind of groove. So. You got that going on. 3/4 3/4 poly. Underlying all that madness, you've got the 3/4 polyrhythm. Very basic. And between the foot and the pedal hat, you've got a 3/2 polyrhythm. So you've got a 3/2 and a 3/4 at the same time. Those are the two easiest ones to get down at the same time. If you want to, like, get some polyrhythm love going on, you can do the 2s against the 3s, and then you can sit the 4s over there. Sorry, the 4s are down there, 3s are up on the hand. So there's the 2/3. There's the 2/3 and the 3/4 polyrhythm in action in one song. How I've honestly learned to do any of this stuff isn't through sitting there and counting all of these numbers. I've learned by listening, which is probably the most important thing I want to try and pass on in all of this, is that for some people, you need to see sheet music or read guitar tab or whatever it is, whatever your instrument is, you need to be able to read it or see some kind of chart. For people like me, there's a lot of music, like ear musicians out there, people that just want to hear the music and play whatever seems right, and that's literally how I've learned to do this. When I've been playing drums for, let me think, for 24 years now, so a good amount of time. Man, I was like, yeah, 24 years. That's terrifying. That's actually terrifying. Anyway, I'm not going to go back down that route, but that's actually terrifying. That's how long I've been playing drums. And for the longest time, interesting patterns have kind of, that's been what I've gravitated towards, trying to play these more complex rhythms and throw all of this stuff in that a drummer wants to do, but make it groovy for the listener. That's kind of the important thing for me. I want someone to be able to nod their head to it, to understand it, and for me, I can achieve that by having an understanding of putting these different timings over one another, being able to manipulate them, and base that in something solid, like just a 4 count or a 3 count. And what that's going to mean is that the audience can nod along to it, which at a TesseracT concert, even though the music's quite complicated, most people are still like bobbing their heads along to it or jumping up and down or whatever. And it's because there's a pulse there. There's something that's kind of very natural in the music. Unlike, as much as I enjoy kind of more complex music, it doesn't please me as much to listen to that as it does to something that's kind of got a core groove to it. So you can bring complexity in, but if you want it to, I'll say, appeal to quite a lot of people, that's never been TesseracT's main thing. We've never been like, oh, we're going to write this so that it appeals to millions of people. Like, that's never been the main thing. But grounding it and making it have a groove is very easy when you have a core understanding of these patterns. I'm just reading what is in the chat. So, once you hit that 3/4 groove, I'll agree. I'm honestly not sure what that means. But yeah, yes is the answer. I'm not sure what you're asking me there. Okay, so there's one more pattern that I'm going to show you before I move out of polyrhythm world. I said I wasn't going to spend ages in one area, and I have. But there's one more pattern I want to show you that I use a lot. It's kind of my fall into go-to, oh my god, what are you doing pattern. And that is a 5/4 polyrhythm. Now, this one, if you're not a drummer, might sound stupid. It probably will sound stupid because it won't sound like something that makes any sense. But if you are a drummer, then you should get it. So 5/4. So. 5/4. Counting a 5 and a 4 at the same time. How do we do that? How do we get there? Boom. No, that's the wrong one. That's the right one. No, it's not. No. Oh. I got the wrong one. Okay, well, I did have one of these graphics prepared, but I put the wrong one up, so can't talk about it. But it's the same as the 3/4. You add the numbers together the same way. You get 20, and then they fall onto the grid. But I can't talk about it because I'm going to get the numbers wrong because it's not on the screen. Anyway, same thing. Now, with that one, the way I actually like to use it is I'll kind of break it down a little bit more to a pattern that I can use around the kit. So the pattern that I use the most is going to be right, left, left, right, left. So a 5-stroke roll, essentially. Right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. It's all 5s, and there's people that can go a lot faster than that, but right, left, left, right, left, that one is a great one for getting around the kit, and I'd like to play for you a TesseracT song that uses that 5/4 pattern. Let me just get it loaded up here. It's not on Spotify, so I need to go to YouTube. It's a very old TesseracT song that was from our first record. It's a demo song called Hollow. See if you can see if you can notice where the 5/4 polyrhythm is in this before I show you where it is. Clinic mosh time. Okay, so that one, it's a very, very early TesseracT song, that one. It was written as a intro to the set. It was written as an intro to the set a long time ago before we even had an album, and we released it as a demo track with one because we had to have a demo track. A kind of a bonus track, not a demo track. Now, in that one, there's lots going on. There's flipping loads going on in that one, but underlying most of it is the 5/4 polyrhythm, which again, let me see if I can get there so it makes sense. So we've got 5s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're accenting the 1 and the 3 on the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're putting a ghost note on everything else on the left hand. And then the right foot, I call these cheat beats. The right foot is just going to do what the right hand is doing. Now, I'm going to bring the hi-hat in. There's your 5/4 polyrhythm. So the accented ride, ding, 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 ding. That between the hi-hat and that ride there, that's your 5/4 polyrhythm. And because we've introduced the hand's actually counting the 4s, even though that sounds weird. That sounds like it'd be the 5s, right? But the hand is counting the 4s. That's a slower count. The 5s are on the hi-hat, but that's where we're going to use that count to introduce where the snare's going to go so that we get kind of a rounded groove. Because at the moment, it's got no reference point. It's just a pattern that we're repeating over and over again. So to give it a reference point, and we're going to touch on this in a longer fashion a bit later on, but to give it a reference point, we're going to drop that snare in. So and then you can play around, you can get more complex, you can play around with instrumentation at that point. Just was messing around, but you get the idea. Once you've learned how to feel the 5 against the 4, then you can manipulate it. Then you can write some cool stuff. So, Will Knuckles, how do you choose the time signatures of a polyrhythm? This is going to sound super cheese, but they don't. They choose us. Honestly, generally, you're going to choose a... I mean, you can do whatever you want. You could play a 5/4 polyrhythm over a 7/4 groove, or you could do it anywhere. But for me and for Tess, it's going to be about what makes the song, what gives it feel, and what gives it that kind of groove element I was talking about earlier, where you can nod your head to it. We're not trying to write something that sounds completely crazy and mental. We're just trying to write something that sounds good in your ear holes and makes you want to nod your head to it. And another question, what goes into figuring it out? So 2 things go into figuring it out. A lot of time spent listening. Literally, like I said earlier, just listening and listening and listening and committing it to the place in your brain where you could literally hear it in your sleep. Or you can listen, you can play the pattern in your brain without the music on. At that stage, I'm ready to sit behind a kit. And when I sit behind a kit, even then, my body hasn't played it before, so I'm a little bit rusty with it. I can generally listen to a test song, a new one, a demo, and then go to a kit and kind of play it, even though it'll be a bit rubbish, I can kind of play it. And then at that stage, I'll just drill it. I'll play it repeated number of times. And if there's areas of it that I'm still struggling with, I'll isolate those areas. That's the best way for me to explain it. So examples of things that I've had to isolate are like Nocturne, because that's a very difficult pattern to get fast and clean. That's taking ages. The Nocturne fill. That thing, I had to break down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I can do that. Next bit. Okay, put those together. Last bit. It's just a case of building these things up and breaking them down into bite-sized chunks if you can't do them immediately. Same with Dystopia. Exactly the same kind of fill. Same with Cages. I can't remember the fill without playing the song, but it's a gradual process with difficult aspects like that, but you just speed it up over time. Bruce has asked, do I start with grooves like this for the writing process, or usually fit it around vocal or guitar lines from the band? So, honestly, the way most of TesseracT stuff is written is by the guitarist, Ackle. He writes 99% of everything that you hear, or at least he comes up with the grooves, and then I humanize them. So he'll send something through. I spend ages listening to it and learning it, and then on stage I'll be performing my humanized version of his drum ideas. That's kind of how I do it. There's been a couple of songs that we've written that have come from a jam situation, which were April, which is like. That pattern, he'd already written that pattern as an old demo, but we kind of started jamming around with it, and it turned into April. And the other song is Hexes, which is the second song off of Polaris. That song came out of a jam situation one morning at a studio in Devon. We just started hitting things and strumming guitars, and we were like, cool. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, Hexes was born. Pretty much everything else is written. The drum parts are mostly there until before they come to me. And I'm going to touch on that in a little bit as well. So, that's my polyrhythm segment. I may have glazed over quite a bit. I'm not sure. I may have oversimplified things. I may not have simplified them enough. But to practice any of those things, isolate the polyrhythm. Stick it to a metronome. If you're going to practice a 5/4 metronome, stick it onto practice a 5/4 polyrhythm. Stick it onto a 5/4 metronome. That makes the most sense. Hearing the 4s within a 5/4 polyrhythm is going to be a bit difficult, but hearing the 5s and then how the 4s, how they relate to that 5, that gets easier over time. But literally just sit there with the two things clicking at the same time, and it will start to make sense. Then practice it across different limbs, and then start to introduce one more thing. Like you could start, if I was going to give you an example with the 3/4 polyrhythm, so if I was doing something like this, I'll do this in my drum lessons, which is the only reason I've got it as an example, but 3/4 polyrhythm between the left foot and the right hand. Just get a little ghost note pattern going, which is just going to be dropping a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So making that grid of 12 that we talked about. Anything that isn't a black note on that top line, the 2, 3, the 5, 6, this 8, 9, and the 11, 12 is going to become a ghost note. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. and then you can start to mess around. So there's so much that you can do with these once you understand them. Right, I'm going to play. What am I going to do next? Let's have a look. Have you guys got any more questions before I scroll down my page of notes and find the next thing that I'm going to do? My mouse isn't working on my floor, Tom. Dan Russo. Still working on that left foot, but you've been able to free up your left hand and the right hand pattern. Well, that's good. That's what you want to be able to do. Okay, so I've played a couple of TesseracT songs. I'd like to show you now, after I've had a little drink of water, there's a couple of kind of key exercises that kind of underlie everything that I do and enable me to play the way that I play. And they're very simple. They're very, very simple. And they might be boring, but I promise you, spending time with these as a drummer, it unlocks everything. So the first one is double strokes. The amount of drummers that I've spent time with who either haven't spent any time with them or think they can do them until it gets fast and then it just sounds like a mess. Spend time with them. So what is a double stroke? A double stroke is literally hitting 2 times with each hand. It's absolutely no effort. Shouldn't be effort, it should be easy. And to get any speed out of it, you got to learn to control the dynamics, and you got to learn to control how the sticks bounce in your hand. Now, the way that I will hold my sticks, for most things actually, there's 2 ways I hold my sticks. I was always told not to play like this, sideways, because you haven't got as much movement. While that's true, I do kind of play sideways on the ride, so I don't stick to that rule completely, but I use like a finger technique where it's very loose. You can kind of see my hand there. Stick's very loose. It's not touching my palm. It's literally resting in the bottom of my fingers, in the crease of my fingers there, and I've just got a little bit of pressure between the thumb and the index finger to control the bounce there. Most of the control and most of the stick movement is coming from my middle finger there. That's the one that's got the control and the power. Same with the left hand. So when I'm doing doubles, if I isolate it and think about it, my hands are very, very loose there. Very loose. But as I start to go faster, the control comes from that middle finger. And if I literally isolate, I'm holding it there. Like, that's where I'm holding it. That might look weird. My hand doesn't look like that when I'm playing. Obviously, the other fingers are wrapped around, but that's where my middle finger is kind of holding and controlling the bounce of that stick. And there's a little bit more tension the faster I go. That's the only difference in my hands, though. You try and do that with your index fingers and thumb, and it just sounds like one of those marching snare rolls. Like, it's a different thing. It's not as defined and it's not as clear. You haven't got as much control. You can use your index finger and thumb to steady the stick, but not. I'm not gripping there for any reason when I'm playing those doubles. Now, just a double exercise that I recommend. So that you're not just playing. You can play it on a pad, obviously, But I'd recommend, if you sat behind a kit, moving around the kit, because you've got to, if you want to be able to use it in anywhere other than the snare drum, you want to be able to move with them. That's a very important thing to be able to do. So I would recommend just a simple exercise where you're playing a set of doubles around the kit, and then when you get to that end, you start to come back around the kit, but from the left. So you go right around the kit, leading with the right, and then left around the kit, leading with the left, and then back to the starting point. So I'll play it slow, and then I'll explain what's going on. So. So we're playing 4, 4, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we end up starting with the right again. And then after that 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, right, left, left, 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 right, right, left. So you're still doing doubles. Nothing about the hand pattern changes, but the sonic difference is that it sounds like you're leading with your left, and it kind of feels as though you are, even though you're not changing the leading hand. You're just moving it back around the kit. But that's a nice exercise, and if you've got more toms, like just practice, add that extra tom, and if you've got 3 toms, if you've got 2 toms, like literally just 3 on each, but just practice moving around the kit with doubles. That's going to unlock quite a lot, especially when you consider that most of the work that I'm doing with ghost notes is either a single or a double, and like I have to be able to go from a ghost note into an accent, and only through having the control there that I talked about a minute ago can I get the kind of ghost note into an accent. So doubles are super important. Lost my mouse. Let me see what the next thing is that I'd written down that I was going to talk about. Okay. So this one's cool. A kick drum technique that I want to talk about very quickly is something that I use a lot. It's kind of the only thing that I can do that's really fancy with my feet. And it's not even that fancy, it's just like a standard thing, but the heel toe kick technique, which looks like this. So to achieve a double on my feet, or specifically my right foot, because I don't do it with my left ever, just slowing it down, you can see the first hit comes from the back of my foot there. That's why it's called heel toe. There. And that enables me to play, like let's say I wanted to do a double pattern, where it sounds like double kick. You could go, you could play it a different way, which sometimes makes the groove easier to play. But I'll talk about that later. But you can, just as an exercise, like a heel toe exercise, you can practice something as simple as that. So instead of playing straight doubles, you can just heel toe, right, right, left, right, right, left. That I use a lot in TesseracT. And you've tried learning this technique for such a long time, but you can't get it, says Jack. Jack, okay, so let me go back to the kick pedal. Watch this. Both pedals are on the beater, on the head, right? Watch what happens when I take them off. Why do you reckon that is? The tension on the right pedal is properly high. It's like it's set so that the beater gets pulled away from the head really quick. In contrast to that, the left pedal, it's super loose. You can see the spring. Like, look at the difference in the length of the spring, even when they're not. When the pedals are away from, when the beater's away from the head, the tension on that left pedal is literally, it's about as loose as it can go. Because my left leg, it's my weaker leg for a start, and all I'm having to do is drop it down for like double kick stuff occasionally. So if you're struggling with your right foot, first of all, I'd say stick the tension up on the pedal. Raise maybe the height of the pedal, of the foot plate. Raise the height of that up a little bit, so that because it might just be that it's too flat. If the spring tension is up but it's too flat, you're not going to be able to do heel toe effectively. It could be that you got giant feet and you need to get a longboard pedal. That can be something. I mean, that's not something I've witnessed myself because I've got like size 9 feet or something. But another technique that I can recommend, just an exercise, is literally just isolating, like just something as simple as that that's going to cause you to do the doubles for in like a straight succession like that. And there's an example of a TesseracT song that does that. Singularity, which I'll play for you in a second. So heel toe, I use that all the time. Practice that if you haven't, because that's a real good one. There's other techniques you can do depending on what you want to achieve. There's like the swivel technique that I haven't practiced because I'm not trying to go on the kick. There's I don't know, there's other ones, but heel toe for me is really useful, and I've seen drummers get it down with both feet, and then you can play very fast. You can play super fast kick fairly effortlessly, because when that's not hard to do, then you're good, and you can use it in fills like. Like, to be able to free it up and not use both feet means you can carry on the metronome with your left foot. So let's play a song that features some heel toe. Let's see. So this is a song, TesseracT used to play this live. We haven't played it in ages. It's off of, what's it off of? Altered State. It's the final song. And it's heel toe-tastic. pissed. go. So I'll play the outro just because it's lovely. So next section of the clinic, I'm going to talk about creativity a little bit. Symbol didn't trigger at the end. How annoying. Okay, so that's Singularity into Embers. We've never played Embers live, actually. We've never played all of Singularity live, but we should do one day. So that all I wanted to do there with that song really is show you an example of a TesseracT song where I'm using quite a bit of heel toe. Now, the last section, I'm going to talk to you about a few creative techniques that you can use to just get yourself out of musical black holes, because you know what it's like as a musician. You're trying to write something, like where do you start, or how do you take something that you already know and make it better, or any combination of things. Just that kind of dark corner that you go into when you're just like, oh my god, none of my ideas are good. What do I do? How do I get out of this? Well, a couple of things you can do. There's something that I like to do where, and it's going to sound like the most stupid nonsense answer, but I promise you it's going to make sense, is to start simple. Like, literally start simple. And let's say, how am I going to okay, let's think of an example. TesseracT Concealing Fate Part 2 and 3, right? I hope you know that. I can play those two in a second, but there's a beat in that song in Concealing Fate Part 2 that it goes like this. I'll just play you the beat. So So there's a lot going on there with the kicks, but essentially, like, once you've learnt the pattern that's going on there, it's fairly simple. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 with a gent kick drum pattern following the guitar line. Now, there's a section in that song where we wanted to change it up slightly, and it's like, okay, what can we do to that beat to make it more interesting? To make it different. Now, you can do absolutely anything to it, but you might go down a black hole of like, well, I don't know what I can do. How can I possibly change it? But literally, the best question to ask yourself in those situations, or the best thing you can do, in my opinion, literally just change one thing about it. So with that beat in particular, I'm going to change one thing, and it's a pretty big thing. I'm going to take my left foot out of the equation. So my left foot isn't going to be playing on the double kick. So that then means I can either do heel toe, which I'm probably going to have to do to get those, get some of those kick patterns in. But what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to make one more simple change. And this is just going to be a blanket rule across that entire groove, right? Every time, previously there was 3 on the kick. Every time there was, because there's only ever 1, 2, or 3. Every time there was a 3, I'm going to change it so that it's kick, kick, snare. Every single time. 1, 2, 3 becomes kick, kick, snare. 1, 2 is going to become kick, snare instead. So, and single kicks are just going to remain as kicks. But, so 2s become kick, snare, 3s become kick, kick, snare. So I'm going to use that heel toe thing. Now, my left leg isn't on that pedal anymore, so I'm going to stick it back over on my pedal hat. And what that does is it gives me my metronome, it gives me my kind of mental grid. So I'll play the 2 beats and I'll play what happens if you apply that one rule, literally one rule, to the same groove. At this stage, we could do, we could start playing around with the instrumentation, so that's one more rule. It's just about changing one thing each time, and that's really that's the best rule that you can apply if you're getting stuck. You can change a straight pattern to a triplet pattern. You can, if you've learnt the 3/4 poly that we were talking about earlier, you can start hitting the 3s of that 3/4 instead of the 4s. If you've learnt the 5/4, you can start hitting the 5s. If you there's just so many things, but you can just change one thing. Let's see. I'm sure I've got some more examples that I can show you here. So, in fact, shall I play? It's up to you guys, because I can play Concealing Fate Part 2 and 3, or I can give you kind of a more detailed pattern example. In fact, there's a couple of songs that have pattern examples. Seeing if anyone responds in the chat first. If not, I've actually got a cool exercise that I might go into instead. Okay, what I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do. I've got there's a pattern that I've taught. I haven't taught it to everyone in my drum lessons, but I've taught it to some people. And this is like another example of what you can do where Ben's saying details. So, okay, here's some details. This is going to be an example of how you can take a longer pattern and repeat it over a 4 count or just like a straight count that's going to make sense to everyone else. And this is a way that you can start to write grooves. The example I'm going to use is it's going to be a pattern, like a 9 pattern. And what I want you to do in your head, literally just count to 9, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're not accenting anything at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think we can all agree that we can all count to 9, right? That's it. That's the whole thing. Bye. No, it's not the whole thing. So, counting to 9. So, change one thing. Cool. Let's accent the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay. We can all do that, right? 1, 2, 3. And you might even get to a stage where you don't have to count, you can just feel it. Then, let's add in the 4 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we can do that. We can do it without thinking about it. Let's add one more thing. Let's add in the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I feel like I'm being led into war. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like. Now you feel like you're being led into war. Maybe if you're an orc army, you're being led into war with this. Okay, I'm going to speed it up. That's the next thing. So we're going to get comfortable just bouncing it. Like, okay, not thinking about it. Just, it's now just a think. Next simple thing. We're going to put a hi-hat count in there. Okay. What that's going to do is going to make it loop every 18. So we've got 9 at the moment, but because we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on the odd numbers than the even numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're actually going to give 9 counts on the pedal hat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that's the first simple thing. Let's change it to the kick instead. So instead of it being on there, we're just going to put it on the kick. We're going to go. Okay. Now it's down there. Let's do. We could bring in a ride pattern, or we could actually, this is probably a bit more interesting and maybe more relevant to Tess. We could do ghost notes on everything that isn't a kick. So one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got that down. That's fairly straightforward. Not having to think about that. Then let's turn it into something a bit more interesting. In fact, let me show you guys what's going on. No, I won't do that first. I'll do. Let's bring in a snare. So we're going to start putting a snare accent in there. So. Okay, so what this is going to give us is, I'm putting a snare accent against a 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. If we're turning that 9 count into a 4, I'm putting the 4 against the 9 basically, and I'm putting the snare on the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 against that 9 pattern that we're doing. What that looks like is that. Get in. Oh, see, that's put the 9 pattern over the top of it, but that don't matter. So, actually, no, it hasn't. I'm just looking at something weird. I can't. I'm messing it up here. So, here we've got the. You can see the 9 bars that we're going to play, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The bigger numbers. The little numbers on the bottom show you the 8th notes, where we're going to count that 9 against the bar. And when you're counting those 9s, we've got the black dots representing the accents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Each time, essentially, it's displacing forwards by 1/8 note, which means the 9 goes over the bar, then the 8/9 goes over the bar, then the 7/8/9 goes over the bar, then the 6/7/8/9 goes over the bar on bar 5. So all of that's happening so that at the end of bar 9, it all wraps up and comes back around. So try and count along to this. You've got bar 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that was me hitting those black dots. That I could have just written music for this, but I chose to make a graphic instead because I'm a plum. But those black dots basically represent where the kick drums are that I just played. So, and everything else in between, well, most of the things in between, where there's just a line, I would turn into a ghost note. And what I'm going to do is put a snare on the 1, 2, 3 of a hi-hat count against that, and I'm just going to put the I'm just going to do like a straight kind of half-time beat on the stack, so I can show you what that sounds like. But we've turned it out of a simple 9 count into a 1, a 4, and a 6, and now we're going to play it against the 4. So. And let's say once we've got that down, because that's a nice groove, what else can we do? Let's go back to our rule, a creative rule. Let's change one thing. Instead of playing the quarter notes, we're going to play dotted quarter notes. So we're going to add 2 more beats. Actually, no. Last time we were playing like half notes, so we're going to bring it back. We're going to reduce 2 beats. So instead of being like... Let's pretend that's the first beat. Instead of the beat that I played, we're going to add 2 notes to that. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do like 3s over it instead of 4s. So. Let's take that away so you can see. So you can see, again, change instrumentation, put accents on every other one. You could do dotted 8s, like... I don't know if I can even do that. Yeah, I mean, I'd never do that, but you can do, again, you can apply all these things. You can just change one thing each time, and it can evolve into something cool. And which leads me to the final point that I want to make, which is you can have these ideas and not be able to play them, which is 100% the point, because you want to learn. You want to learn something that you can't do. So if you've got these ideas but you can't play them, you can use a computer. That's what we have them for. So, as I said earlier, most of the TesseracT ideas are written on computer first, and it's a guitarist with an immense amount of groove, I might add, but it's a guitarist writing parts for a drummer. And these are loops, generally. There's like an underlying loop that is, let's say, an odd number for the sake of, because they usually are odd numbers, 15, 17, 23, something stupid. And it loops, and the only way to kind of learn that is by copying and pasting it. So write something, doesn't matter what the accents are, just decide what the accents are, change them later, change them to groove more if it feels like a different pattern's going to groove more, but just start out with something, with anything, copy and paste that kick drum pattern, and then put your 4 count over it or put your 3 count over it, start from there. And if it's too difficult to play initially, then have the computer play it back to you. That's the wonder of using these machines, is that we can literally program this idea in or play it in using one of these kits, quantize it so it's played perfectly on the beat, listen to a metronome, speed it up, slow it down, just use the technology that we've got to enable you to learn and write the beats that are within you that you haven't unlocked yet. And then some of the exercises I've shown you today, use those exercises to get to the stage where you can automatically play those things rather than relying on a computer. So, yes, there we go. There's some stuff from my brain and from my drums into your ear rolls and eyeballs. Let me see. I can play us out. I was going to play Concealing Fate part 2 and 3, but I think what I might do is play my favourite ridiculously difficult TesseracT song, and then if you guys have got any questions at the end, we'll do a bit of a Q&A. If you haven't, don't worry, you don't need to have any questions, but if you do, I'm happy to try and answer them. So here we go. This is Nocturne with outro. Here we go. Right, ladies and gents, have a think. Any questions at all about touring, being in a band, drums, life advice? I'll try my best to answer it. There we go, ladies and gents. Right, I'm going to give you a second to ask any questions. How much am I looking forward to touring and meeting Trivium on the road, asks Ben Hurst. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a mad year of not touring for bands, and I'm sure you'll all appreciate the music industry is kind of in tatters at the moment. When last February, March time, every band that was on the road, every tour manager, every merch guy, every lighting engineer, bus driver, you name it, guitar techs, drum techs, stage techs, anyone that works in venues, including Catherine that's put the this clinic on, these people are basically out of a job this year because the support from from various governments hasn't been great for the creative sector. So this year has hurt quite a bit from a financial standpoint, let's say, being a musician. And I'm just looking forward to next year. Hopefully things getting a little bit back to normal. They may not until the end of the year, which is why that tour is scheduled for the end of the year, but we're kind of hopeful that with about a year of COVID vaccines going out, that the world will reopen a little bit. And going back to the original question, I think I'm really looking forward to that tour. It's going to be amazing. So for those who haven't seen, my band TesseracT is going out on the road with Trivium, Heaven Shall Burn, then us, and then Fit for an Autopsy. It's quite a metal tour. But we're hitting up, it's Europe as far as I know. I haven't seen any information about other stuff, or at least nothing that I can announce yet. But I'd hope that that tour will go ahead. We're supposed to be going to South America in March next year, but I would say, if I was a betting person, I'd say that probably will get postponed again. I'm not saying it is postponed, because at the moment it's on, but I don't know if the world will be okay enough for us to all get together and go to South America. I don't know. But, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. Jack Bryant, do I have any drum books that you can recommend? And can I be your drum tech, please? I don't read music, so I don't have any drum books that I can recommend. I had a few drum lessons when I was in school. Mainly, I went to a religious school. Well, it wasn't a religious school; it was a Church of England school. But my drum lessons aligned perfectly with the weekly religious education lessons, so I managed to go, yoink, I'll have drum lessons, please. So yeah, there was that. Other than that, I haven't had any experience with drum music, although I've learnt to write it, but I just can't read it. It's of no use being in front of me while I'm playing music, but it is of use if I can chart things out. So at the moment I'm working on Nocturne, which is 6 pages in at the moment. I've just got the outro to write. That'll be up on my website fairly soon. But I don't have any actual drum books that I can recommend, which I apologise for. But I mean, you can have lessons with me if you want. I do drum lessons. And you can, what else is there? There's a guy called Dave Ellick whose drum lesson I haven't done, but it comes highly recommended. It's a course called Getting Out of Your Own Way. A lot of drummers recommend that, so that might be worth doing. In fact, Jack Bryan that asked that, I'm pretty sure you do have drum lessons with me, or have had. I'm being a plum, I can't remember. Kieran, what the actual heck is going on in the Nocturne outro? You can never seem to count it. Exactly the same. Let me just answer that, and then I'll go. So, what the actual heck is going on in the Nocturne outro? So, in the intro, because it all relates. In the intro, you got 4 bars of 7. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just play it, and then you'll get it. So, back to the start. I'll count it for you. Oh, come on, computer, you can do it. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, 4 bars of 7. At least that's how I count it. But I'm not counting in real life, it's just 7s. Then, against that, you've got a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which means playing against the 7, when it comes back around, the triplets are on the 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1. Instead of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, they end up being on the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 against the 7. And then the third time round, if we were to play it a third time, it'd be on the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that same stack pattern over the intro is happening over the outro. You've got the 1, 2, 3. It sounds crazy because the snare isn't just straight, but it's a straight count on the snare. It's just a pattern that you have to kind of learn. It's just a repeating pattern. It's repeating 7s, and the crash thing that's going on up there is is changing in the same way that the intro is changing. I haven't tell you what, when I've written out the tab for Nocturne, Kieran, I will send you that section, and you can go, oh, I still don't understand. Thanks, Jay. Hopefully that'll make some sense, because I haven't charted it all out yet. But I'm not counting 7s at all. I'm just counting like a 1, 2, 3, 4 over the whole thing. And the trick is to not think about it. If you don't think about it, it's a lot easier, I promise you. But to get to the stage where you're not thinking about it, you have to have listened to it a lot and practiced it. So my actual answer is there's no shortcuts. You just have to be a legend and learn it. Ben Hurst, I've been counted to 6. Well, you counted it wrong, mate. You're 100% counting it wrong. I had a message from a guy the other day who said, you're wrong, Jay. It's because I posted a little clip of it on the internet showing the 7/4, and he was like, it's not that. it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And he counted it. He sent me a video. I sent him a video of me going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He sent me a video of him going 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as you can, count it. It's whatever it is to you that makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense, then it's 7. I am right. The internet is wrong. So anyway, unless there's any more questions, Catherine has said, thank you very much, Jay. That was an incredibly instructional and very much appreciated. Where people can find me and my lessons and Twitch and things like that. Okay, so I do lots of live streaming on Twitch. As you can see from all of this setup, I stream on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mondays to Fridays, it's 10 a.m. Central Time, which is 4 p.m. in the UK. Saturdays, it's 2 p.m., which is 8 p.m. in the UK. It's twitch.tv/J TesseracT. It used to be J Postones. It's now J TesseracT on Twitch. You can find me there. You can get me on Instagram, which is J Postones on Instagram. Those are the only two I really use. I am on Facebook, but I don't use Facebook. I am on Twitter, but I don't use Twitter other than to moan at a company that's given me a bad product occasionally and look like an arse. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Catherine, for putting this on. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. And tell me when to stop streaming. I don't want to just abruptly end the stream. I'll do a little dance. How about that? Tell you what, let's put this on to end things. Bring it on! No, not that. This. There you go.